So a customer brought this in tonight for me to look at. It's a Inspiron 560, I believe, Dell, from about, oh, hell, I don't know, 2009, 2010 maybe? Might be a little bit older than that. Nope, I was right, 2009. There's the chassis build date. Of course, my light's shining on it, but it's 9/12/09 is when the chassis was made. And I had to take it outside and get the air compressor on it. It was absolutely filthy. The dust bunnies everywhere. And a little tip for those of you who like to use compressed air compressor to clean your machines out. Make sure that when you do that, you hold your fan still while you're blowing them out, because if you spin the fans, you're literally making it into a generator, and it's going to send power back up through the wires and into your fan controllers on the board. And if you send enough voltage back, you can literally destroy your fan controllers on the board. Spin it fast enough. The faster you spin it, the faster the more energy it'll make. So anyway, the problem with this machine was the customer was complaining that it had an orange light of death. And most of y'all who work on Dells, I mostly work on the Optiplexes more than I do Inspirons, but most of y'all know that when you get an orange light of death on a Dell, it's usually a power related issue. And in the case of this one, being a crappy high pro power supply, that is the actual problem. So what's happened with this is, because it was so full of dust and dirt, is the fan seized up in the power supply. He didn't know it. Get this thing turned around here. So the fan seized up in this power supply and gets extremely hot. So he told me that, yeah, he's like, well, it wouldn't come on, or no, he said it was on, it went to orange light and quit running. And he said he unplugged it for a couple minutes. He thought it was a power surge up at the house. We did have some stores down here the other day. But he said he plugged it back in after 15 minutes, it still wouldn't come on. So it's been unplugged all night last night. He brought it to me today, so it's been unplugged for several hours. And I got it, plugged it in, ran just fine. I'm like, okay, well, whatever. I did some malware scans on it, had a bunch of junk on it. It's a kid's computer, so you know how that is with crap being loaded on them. But I went and got something to eat while I let it do its scan, and when I come back about an hour or so ago, the power supply, you couldn't even hardly put your hand on it. It was so hot. Yeah, the machine was still running. So I reached back, put my hand back here, and it was scalding hot. I knew exactly what was going on. And, see, you can't even barely turn the fan. And yes, people don't go and stick a screwdriver all the way up in there. Yeah, it's powered off, but if you touch a capacitor or something that's still got a charge on it, you might get lit up and damage the rest of your system. All I'm doing is just touching the fan blades. So as you can see, you can just barely turn it with a screwdriver. That's how seized up the bearing is. So as of right now, the customer doesn't want to put a power supply in it. They want to see if I can free it up and oil it up, and then see how it goes. He's thinking about maybe, this is an old Core 2 Duo, I think it's like an E7500. And being a kid's computer and whatnot, he doesn't want to spend a lot of money on it. He is thinking about putting a Core 2 Quad in it. We can get them cheap now, they're like $35. And if this power supply doesn't want to unseize, so this fan doesn't want to unseize, then we may get a cheap 400 watt power supply and put in it. It has onboard graphics. They don't use anything else in it. The only expansion it has is Wi-Fi. So I'm going to pull this power supply out and see how easy it is to get this fan out of here. See if we can oil this thing back up. Brutal. I hope it hasn't gotten so hot that it's, I don't know how long it's been seized like this. Hopefully it hasn't bulged the caps. I mean, if the caps are bulged up in it, it's over with. He'll just have to go get a new power supply, or I'll have to source one for it and put it in there. And we're certainly going to put something better than this crappy high pro stuff in here. There was a run of these high pros, and I think the best tech power supplies and the OEMs back during this time period that were very unforgiving. They would just explode and take everything with it. You'd be lucky if you came out with a working CPU and memory. So let me get this power supply out of here and pop the top, and we'll have a little look. Alright, so here's our crappy high power supply. As you can see, ain't no free spinning in that. And as I feared, because of the fan not working, swollen capacitor, another swollen capacitor, he's swollen, and right back in there, that capacitor back there is swollen and already starting to leak. So I got to contact the customer again tomorrow and see what he wants to do. I'm going to go ahead and free this fan up against my better judgment and get it moving again. Going to have to let him know about these caps, because you do not want them to blow. Once they blow, it will most likely take the motherboard with it. You'll be lucky if you get a CPU and RAM. Usually when that happens, I usually am able to, at least the CPU and the memory tend to survive, but the motherboard itself is usually wasted. So I'm going to let him know about that. He's going to pretty much have to get a power supply for it, or I'll have to get one for him. And get it back going. Hell, he may choose to even just replace his machine. I don't know what his plans are for it, but he didn't want to spend much money on it. So you could probably limp them capacitors by for a little bit longer, but if they're bulging like that, that means the electrolyte is already dried out in them. And they'll get hot enough to eventually they'll pop the top. And if anybody's ever heard what they sound like when they go off, it's basically like a bottle rocket going off inside your computer case. It's pretty loud, and you get that awesome ozone smell. Just remember, when you let the magic smoke out, it no longer works. Alright, so here's our fan out. And too bad is a Sinoon, or however you pronounce them, Sinoon, I don't know how you pronounce them, but anyway, Chinese made fans. Usually they're some of the better fans, but no saving this one. This is one of them fans with the damn sealed bearing. You can't, normally there's a plug back here, you can take the plug out and shoot a little oil down in there and free it right back up, and it'll run for a while, but not this one. So this power supply is EOL, and I'll be letting the customer know that tomorrow, and we'll go from there. So that's diagnosing the power issues on this Inspiron 560. Hope y'all gained a little bit of something about that, information about it. Like I say, most Dells, when the power supply has problems, you'll get an orange, I call it the orange light of doom, especially when I get on the optiplexes. So, yeah, that concludes this video. I'll see you guys in another one. I should have a Game Gear repair video coming up pretty soon. I ordered caps for Game Gear that I have had for several years that no longer works because it needs a cap job. So I'll probably be doing a little video on that coming up. So, thanks for watching, and stay tuned.